Hello, accusers and anti-heroes. My name is TBSKine, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. Chronicles, technically, but we're playing the first game, which is just called The Great Ace Attorney. We've made our way through the first half of the first trial. I think half. Usually when there's a recess and you get a chance to save, it's because it's the first half is over. And we're going to get Ryunosuke found innocent of the crime that he didn't commit, which is good. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you had started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Anyway, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Jezaille Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation is one thing I'm sure about. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, and then, on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor. And just after I bent down and picked it up, I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective. He apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. I'm making an assumption here that it's Professor Mikotoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you making an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system, even more so. Which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyway. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your status. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes. You need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. Don H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UME. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you are about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need.
Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama.
Defending their Ahoda. Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what hit them.
Kazuma?
What?
Thank you. Really.
What for?
Well, if you hadn't said you believed me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now.
Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend.
Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really gonna give up his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is.
Yes, friendship. Just the best of friends. Just pals. Just bros being dudes. Just dudes being guys. Just guys being pals.
So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose.
And in case anyone wants to get shitty at me in the comments, no, they're not gay. Fuck it. What? Like, shut the fuck up. But the point is, you can read their dynamic as romantic if you want to. The game doesn't confirm it, but it doesn't exactly go against it either. And that's the same thing with the original Ace Attorney series. Like, Phoenix Wright and Miles Edgeworth, there's a reason people ship the two of them. There's a lot of good reasons, because their dynamic, if they were male and female, would automatically be seen as romantic. Like, people would just automatically go, oh, yeah, there's a little something, there's a little dynamic, people would automatically do that. The same thing, like, if these two had talked to each other the way they did, they were opposite genders, everyone would be like, oh, yeah, no, yeah, there's a little crush there. Like, everyone would fucking do that. But because it's two dudes, it's like, but what do you, no, they're just buddies, they're just pals, they can't be gay. It's like, no, fuck you, yes they can. You know why? Because I can do whatever the fuck I want in my head. And I think it's more fun this way, so shut the fuck up.
I'll save the thank yous for after the trial.
You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. 22nd of November, 12:09 p.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom Number 2. The court hereby resumes the trial of Runescus Naruhodo. Prosecutor Ouche, have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency. Against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Sorry.
Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forge with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry.
If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty really isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke.
What do you mean?
A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England?
Oh, shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with this great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing that I feel very strongly.
A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
You little brats!
Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth.
Yeah, that's... no. No, that's not why court systems exist. I'm sorry to say. The Ace Attorney series has always been very idealistic about the law and about the function of the legal system. But, you know, the reality is that the legal system exists to protect the state. Like, that's what it's for. It's for protecting the state against those who would act against the state's interests. And that, like, if the state is good, that's probably fine, but if the state is, I don't know, imperialist, expansionist, militarized, you know, kleptocracy, run by charlatans, then sometimes the justice system is not good, actually, it's bad, and doesn't exist to pursue the truth, but to protect the status quo from anyone who might seek to upend it. But, you know, this is a video game, we're playing a fictional story, and here we can be idealistic, and it's nice.
With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Jezaille Brett.
Yes. Your Excellency!
Now that's a hat. That's a hat and a half.
Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea. Someone bring English tea. In England, no discussions take place without tea.
Is that true? No idea. Oh, that was Ryunosuke.
So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court?
Of course. My name is Satoru Uzunaka. By the way, do you know how you can tell that you can't trust the lady and that she's probably the villain just by looking at her without knowing anything about her? She's hiding her eyes. And that is a thing, like in Japanese media, you see it all the time. Like if you look at the bailiffs outside of the courtroom, their eyes are hidden on their character models, which makes them, because the cliche is the eyes of the window to the soul, right? And Japanese media, especially stylized media and like stuff that's based around anime aesthetics, which Great Ace Attorney definitely is, likes to take advantage of that. So when a character's feelings are hidden, or when they are when they're closing themselves off from the world, or when they're lying or hiding something, they will often hide the eyes of the character in the frame. And like a lot of times in anime, it comes through like literally just a shadow will appear over their eyes so you can't see them, so very conspicuously. With Hosonaga here, he'll push his glasses up over his eyes so you can't see them, which is another classic anime move. And with the young lady over here, Ms. Brett, she's hiding her eyes with her hat, and that's a visual signifier that, okay, she's hiding something, she's being duplicitous, she's not being forthcoming, like something like that. But that's also true in Western media. Like Western media does the same thing all the time. Hide the face, hide the eyes. That is a visual signifier of untrustworthiness or mystery. It's also like, it's not necessarily fully a negative when the eyes are hidden. That can also be alluring. It can also be mysterious. It can also be sort of enticing and invite curiosity. But that's like the general realm that feature is in. And here it's being used very deliberately. I've been working... Yeah, there he does it. I've been working undercover at La Carnival as a...
Yes, we know all about you already.
Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first.
Is that true?
No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of.
Oh, yeah, I think I did, didn't I?
Yet, your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman? Sorry, Ryunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking.
Hey, it's almost as though Ryunosuke isn't that interested in women. Hey, maybe that's a thing.
And again, nothing confirmed in the text of the game, I'm pretty sure. But we can read it that way, and it's more fun. So why not? Doesn't matter. It's a story. Have some fun in your lives. Homophobes are boring. They're so boring.
Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
Hiding her eyes. Yeah, I don't know how to read that.
I'm terribly sorry, my dear lady, but what?
The lady says her name is Jezaille. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in Yuma University's medical faculty.
Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people.
I bet, like, my headcanon now is that she speaks in Cockney. She's like,
Oh, all right, cheerio, I'm Jezaille. I'm a visiting student.
like this the worst, most terrible Dick Van Dyke Cockney accent you've ever heard in your life. And he's fully simping over her. A word I don't use lightly.
I'm afraid I don't understand your word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird song.
As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough.
Yeah, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it?
Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke.
Quite thanks, the beautiful lady, for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, at a restaurant called La Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct?
Cheerio, Pip Pip. What?
She says yes. This could take some time. So, even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese? I mean, that's not so unusual for English people going abroad. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau.
Well, now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eyes caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps?
Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight.
You mean to say?
Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right here in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood.
Order in court!
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? We have an absolutely conclusive witness statement.
Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is.
Unfortunately, I'll have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described.
So the use of scribbled handwriting, right? Like scribbled handwriting left to right, like that particular kind of sort of cursive blur that a doctor might write on your prescription, that's even more effective in Japanese, I feel, because it's so, like, even just the shape language of that kind of sort of handwritten scribble is so different from handwritten Japanese. Even scribbled handwritten Japanese writing, like, has a very different shape language. So I think it probably heightens the effect, like, when contrasted against the kanji, katakana, or whatever the original script will have been written in the original version, to have, like, that very handwritten scrawl, completely indecipherable. So even if you've studied English, you're like, what the hell am I supposed to make any of this out? And I feel like I sometimes spot stuff like something that looks like a really scribbled of, or like a conjunction or something in there. But like, if it's not like even your, well, it's not even my first language, but if it's not your first language, I imagine that's like even more confusing when it's completely different to your native writing system. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor wasn't able to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit.
This is a condemning testimony.
No, I didn't have any other kind of argument with the professor at all.
Objection! Quiet, you filthy wretch! Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard, and look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court is going to believe.
Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn.
Ugh, but he's so annoying.
Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before, and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm.
I don't know, that hat looks pretty big.
I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is said to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot.
There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun.
Do you not carry a frickin' handbag?
Those are the witness's own words on the matter.
Ugh, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it.
Ryunosuke? Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke.
But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day.
You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yeah, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
We'll just press everything.
After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite a late lunch, isn't it? You don't keep up with the latest fashions in Britain, do you? Late lunches are in vogue. Isn't that right? No.
A decisive English no has quite a sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working in the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would lunch together. But on the day in question, the victim had another appointment at the clinic first. Yeah, which we can prove from the medical report card which was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch, following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late.
Yes, that all makes perfect sense.
Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman is.
My dude, would you control yourself? So, you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next? The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak.
Yes!
He wasn't able to eat, you say? And that was because he just had a tooth removed at Hot Clinic, right? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So, that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left, after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left?
Dear me, what a harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiends that have subjected you to this terrible plight.
So, the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all? That's right. Other than some carbonated water.
Just water?
Yes. The professor wasn't able to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. Huh, they each raced a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement?
Well, if we take a look at the table,
They each toasted, you say?
Each of them? Both of them?
With a single glass? That seems a little familiar. And also gross. So it's very meaningful. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has profound bearing on this case.
Well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing?
The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony.
Well sidestepped, counsel.
Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to your official testimony.
Gladly, she says. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm gonna remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke.
huh. Well, isn't that interesting?
Here's hoping that it's correct to present the evidence here. I think it is, but sometimes the game can be...
Yes!
No, sometimes it can be temperamental. Not this time. That's it? Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was exactly as it was left. That is correct, the lady says. Well, it's odd. It's very odd.
Dear me, what is odd is the defense's inability to express itself.
Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers.
Cheers?
Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1.
Ah. You're quite right, counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here.
Objection!
Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Objection!
Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless.
But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try and tell me you can drink with only one?
Or you can clink with only one, rather. You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Okay, so is that a C-O-R-I-S-M or an N? Or an R? And there's Mia. Lame. Like, I'm trying to decipher this scribble, but of course it's pointless.
Inspector, what did the lady say?
It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table.
What?
It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying.
Good gracious.
Sorry.
Oh, you're annoying me now.
There! As I showed the court before, this is of no consequence at all! Oh, please. We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before our very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it that you're now going to accuse this vulnerable, young, and beautiful woman of mischief?
What?
No. This can't be put down to mischief.
I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying.
Oh, she was carrying a handbag, you say?
A handbag, you say?
Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England.
So the beautiful young lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case.
Oh.
This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You wasted enough time already?
Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement?
Well, I don't know really.
If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yeah, you're right. So, she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's the handbag?
Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items.
Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun.
You're right.
Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too.
What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard?
Well, it's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will.
You can't seriously be suggesting...
Inspector Hosonaga! Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Jezaille Brett's handbag on the day of the murder?
No, sir, I did not.
As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag.
No!
Order! Order! Order!
Oh, what's the meaning of this, Inspector?
The meaning of what, Professor Ouchie?
Why on earth did you not have the lady open your handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, she now has to endure these uncomfortable accusations.
Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Poor guy. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting. Simply because it was unnecessary.
Unnecessary in what way?
I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I'd completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print is of a photograph that I thought it would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag.
Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside.
That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment.
So the contents are clearly visible.
Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious.
Ah!
As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san.
What?
My. We'll have to work our way around that one too, huh?
Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once.
Certainly, Your Excellency. A photograph taken by Hosonaga-san. After the incident occurred, it shows Miss Brett's handbag on a chair by the victim's table. So that mark right there is clearly going to matter. As for the handbag itself, well, we'll get back to that.
I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness counsel. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. The photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further of significance. I'm satisfied that there's no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling.
Indeed, and there's only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime.
No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around. I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it?
I must say, you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell.
This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue.
Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling.
It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me,
Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule this case yet.
His amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, I mean, then ruling at the case at this time would be out of the question.
This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence.
You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke.
I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag.
My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it.
Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, Your Excellency.
So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in the print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded.
Right. That's gotta be this thing, right?
Yes!
Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist.
That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing to do whatsoever with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right.
Go on, Inspector.
The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either.
Really?
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ouchie points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn.
Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now.
Of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn has something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right.
I am?
If we can just link that burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again.
Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that.
Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture.
But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it?
I would, yes.
To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face.
Really?
I have to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. We already know it. Let's see, where can we see it? Not there. There.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print?
Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, Rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little while longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that is your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Oh, look! It's the exact shape of the burn right there on the plate.
Yes!
The beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on.
The plate? Ah!
Your Excellency, are you all right?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess that it's some sort of trademark of La Carnival. Ah. This emblem on the plate and the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered his burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know that it happened on the day in question or not. It would have been the day before, or the day before that. It must have likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ouchie, the chances of that are extremely slim.
Thanks. Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster. Certainly.
But
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And, although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around, 3 seconds.
It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then.
I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of La Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet, Inspector Hosonaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day.
That would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel.
Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us would have, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So, the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it. Reynoski, you don't think? Can it really be true? I never dreamed we arrived at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson. Oh, it's either one or the other. I think it's the other. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation.
Counsel, are you suggesting?
Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already?
Dead?
Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
That's madness!
Order, please, order! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right, that's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly he has no grasp of the facts.
Objection!
No, Professor Ouchie. It's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, this court must hear from this witness again. If it's true, as we now believe that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it is highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it.
But incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But Your Excellency!
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I'm prepared to pass judgment.
Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Miss Brett, you speak Japanese? Well, of course I do.
I'm studying in your country, after all.
But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world.
Fuck you! Have you heard English people speak? Shut the fuck up.
As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
I mean, it's a very accurate depiction of British attitudes towards anyone who isn't British, especially in the 18th century.
Well, you are the epitome of true English gentlewoman.
We're truly honored by this lavish consideration you so graciously afford us.
So again, Ouchie here, being representative of the grievance that, like Kazuma has already voiced multiple times, that the government is falling on its ass to appease, foreign powers, even to the detriment of the country itself, which it's a somewhat, like, not necessarily fully explicitly, but it's a somewhat nationalist sentiment. To an extent, which again is a thing that's an undercurrent at least in the first case, maybe an undercurrent that we should keep an eye on going forward. Cause Japan and nationalism, now there's a history. But again, it's also it's not like it's inaccurate to say that the English and the Americans and pretty much every foreign power that has ever interacted with Japan before the 21st century and fucking still since have been colonizing imperialist assholes. I mean, Western powers have treated Asia and East Asia with absolute reprehensible contempt for many years. So, there's complexities.
I see. In that case, Ms. Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson.
So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burned his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in toast. As far as I have heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Thank you for giving us a clue there that you poisoned him!
That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
My dude, think with the head on top of your shoulders.
Easy does it. I hope that's the last I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue.
Bitch.
Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what happened here today.
The Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Huh? Thanks? What, was that a prayer then?
Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Ms. Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Then you may proceed with the cross-examination.
So let's just press everything, shall we?
But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed.
Do you think so? Let me ask you something.
Sorry?
Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours have been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you?
Huh? What? Yeah!
What fun. You hadn't realized.
The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke.
Why didn't you tell me?
Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh, yes. I think my tiny brain can.
Yes!
Stop simping. This is pathetic.
Well, I can't.
Anyway,
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at that time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although,
Although...
whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that.
Damn you. I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of the court others in the court, it means bless you. I think it means the exact opposite.
anyway,
So she seems kind of annoyed that he can't back her up that the professor drank the water.
Interesting.
Let's press her on this one.
Yeah, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma.
yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life. But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter.
Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that.
And if the victim burned his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouch is right.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace.
If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. And as our police forces thoroughly examine the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Sonaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation.
There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark.
If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honor, I, Takisuchi Auchi, will cut down any who dare cast such aspersions.
Huh. A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yeah, evidence.
But of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the highlands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything found at a crime scene for later investigation. But in this country, you investigate once, and that's the end of it. Isn't that so?
Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try and preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
Killer blow. The lady is as formidable as she's beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Ouchie is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Rinosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way? There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma... What, Rinosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Well, actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yeah, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening, maybe. All right, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself. Let's see what we can get out of the detective. All right, then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. We'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again.
Yes. Wait.
Yeah, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the English woman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him, he's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke, and solve the witness marker, blah blah blah. Yeah.
Wait.
There we go.
Excuse me.
What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. You looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
Objection!
What's the meaning of this? It's the delightful English woman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not.
Huh?
The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved with the case.
Inspector Zanaga,
Yes.
do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett?
Well, yes. If you don't mind, I would like to speak. She does mind. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Ozanaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless.
What do you really mean by that?
I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. But you are worried.
A crime scene thief?
Well, looks like the lady's remarks touch a nerve there. Take this, for example.
Is that...
This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took to the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water, I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah, there's some left in that bottle, I can see it.
One day our police force will be among the best in the world. Oh, perish the thought. The time is coming, I guarantee it.
I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence.
The carbonated water the victim and Miss Brett shared on the day of the murder. It was on the victim's table.
Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death?
Yes, it was that bottle.
What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question.
Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his further.
Uh-huh. Now, let's just check that Birdle out. Hello, Birdle. Is there something unusual about you? So, this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now.
You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going.
No, Ryunosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence.
Oh, no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we?
You never cease to amaze me, Ryunosuke. In more ways than one.
I wonder, could there be anything in this water?
What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden.
I think I might just have worked something out. An interesting possibility.
Okay, that's one thing we need.
The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Kazuma?
I think it's French. This must be very expensive water.
Yeah, but what does it say? That's what I was asking.
Then go to France and ask.
You could just say that you don't know.
Right, was that the only thing we need to figure out here? Check that the stuff inside the bottle, because it's poisoned. Hey, pouring it all out all over the court. Okay.
If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me.
taking a shot.
Yes!
Okay.
What is this? The bottle of water.
Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind.
Obviously, I'm referring to poison.
Poison?
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass?
Order! Order! Order!
And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could possibly have done it. Jezaille Brett, it was you!
Objection!
This is outrageous. To suggest such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed a court of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. Again, Kazuma, I love your idealism, but the courtroom is always a political arena. I'm sorry.
What?
The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We're here to determine the truth.
If I may. I will silence you forever for this disgraceful attack on our... It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady!
Where did that come from? She just snapped.
I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies.
I'm sorry, my lady. To what are you referring?
I described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not.
Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents.
And what did you find, Inspector?
I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency.
What? Are you sure?
The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself.
No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned.
Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from the gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit.
I'm done for.
The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett.
Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present to the court at this point?
Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
2, 1. Yeah, there we go. There's the Deus Ex Machina. The Ace Attorney series is very fond of Deus Ex Machina.
Please, wait.
Isn't that?
What is the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotaba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense.
Mikotaba? In my darkest hour with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth. I need to find a good voice for her. Ah, we weren't halfway through the trial. We were 1/3 of the way through the trial. Okay, well, an hour and 21. That makes a natural cutting off point, I think. So, if you've enjoyed hanging out in the world of Great Ace Attorney with me, then you can hit the like, comment, and subscribe buttons down below, and they're helpful buttons that make algorithm numbers go up, which is good for me, because, you know, the reasons, I don't understand it either, but, you know, it's the business. I also have a Patreon, a merchandise store, and a tip jar, and if you want to watch more episodes of Great Ace Attorney right now, then there's a good chance that they're available if you are a member on the channel. That gives you early access to videos as I upload them, rather than having to wait for me to publish them. So if you want any of that, it's available. You can use it. It helps me with my rent and stuff. But if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. And I'm just grateful that you watched the video this far. Thanks for watching. Remember to wear a mask and wash your hands. Yes, I know, but still, we kind of have to. Take the vaccine when you can, whatever goddamn vaccines we're going to need. And try to act in solidarity with those who are worse off than yourself.